You know, there's a certain art to silence. A cold, ruthless art. You sit there, breathing the same stale air, your heart thudding like some helpless prisoner begging to be freed. And you think, if you just explain yourself, if you just yell a little louder, maybe the world would understand you. Maybe they would love you. Finally, maybe they would stop disrespecting you, stepping over you like you're some half-dead stray lying in their path. But let me teach you something. Yelling won't save you. Talking won't save you. Explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is like handing a blade to the very ones already cutting you. Silence, my friend. Silence is your revenge. Silence is where you bury the noise, the fake apologies, the empty promises, and the memories that rot you from the inside. You think they'll hear your silence and feel bad? No, they'll hear it and feel fear. Real fear. 'Cause deep down, every coward knows. When a man stops speaking, stops fighting for their attention, he's no longer trying to be understood. He's preparing for something bigger. He's changing coldly in ways they'll never see coming. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you own the damn room without ever opening your mouth. You wasted years, didn't you? Running after people, try to explain your heart, your loyalty, your kindness. You thought if you were just patient enough, soft enough, good enough, they would see your worth. But what they saw was someone they could disrespect, someone they could take advantage of. People don't respect noise. They react to it. Maybe they scream back. They fight it, but they don't respect it. You know what they respect? Emptiness. The kind of emptiness that makes them sit alone at night, wondering what the hell they did wrong. The kind of silence that echoes louder than any words you ever spoke.
When you go silent, truly silent, no texting, no calling, no explaining, no arguing, you become a ghost that haunts their conscience. You become a storm they thought they escaped, but that now lives under their skin, and they'll start telling themselves stories. Stories about what you're thinking, what you're planning. They'll fear the worst because silence is a mirror. And what do cowards see when they look in mirrors? All their guilt, all their failure, everything they buried when they thought they buried you. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to get revenge. You don't even need to win the arguments anymore. You win when you don't show up to the damn battlefield they built to destroy you. You win by starving their hunger for your attention. You win by being the one thing this loud fake world can't handle. Still, untouchable, unbothered. Let them rot in the noise they created. Let them sit there drowning in their own chaos. While you build in silence, while you rise in silence, while you heal in silence, they'll notice, oh they'll notice, because nothing terrifies the guilty more than the absence of the one they thought they broke. Nothing burns them more than realizing they don't even have access to you anymore. Not even through a petty fight. Silence is closing the damn door so hard on that not even the memory of your voice can slip back through the cracks. And let's be real for a second. You ain't weak for being kind. You ain't dumb for caring. But you would be a fool if you kept showing up for people who clapped louder for your pain than they ever did for your wins. You would be a fool to think love means suffering in silence for others while they shout their betrayals from the rooftops. Not real strength. It's suffering in silence for yourself.
It's loving yourself so damn hard that you choose peace over pride, dignity over drama, distance over disrespect. You don't need them to understand your pain. They ain't earned the right to your explanations. They lost that privilege when they chose to treat you like an option instead of a damn blessing. You know what silence teaches you? Control, mastery. When you stop reacting, you start thinking. You stop bleeding in public for people who never even care that you are bleeding. You stop giving away your power every time someone throws a stone your way. You start moving differently, quietly, strategically. You start becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive the storm. He becomes the damn storm. You think lions announce their attacks? You think kings beg for respect? Nah, they sit in their silence, watching waiting until the time comes. And when it does, they strike once. Hard, silent, and the whole damn world shakes. They wanted noise from you. They wanted the desperate version of you. They wanted the version that needed them, that cried, that begged, that argued, that ranted and posted and screamed into the void for validation. Silence? Silence is a betrayal they never saw coming. It's telling them, without a single word, that you're done playing their game, that you're no longer an actor on their stage. You left the theater, and now they're performing for empty seats. Let them scream into the void they created. Meanwhile, you sit back, cold, composed, building an empire they'll have to watch from the outside. That's the kind of revenge life serves best. Silent, cold, and damn unforgettable. You ever notice how the loudest ones are always the emptiest? Barking all day, making noise, bragging about how they don't need anyone, how they're winning, how they're so unbothered. But if you listen closely, really listen, it's not strength you hear. It's fear. Fear hiding behind words, behind forced laughter, behind desperate distractions. They make noise because they can't sit in silence. Because silence shows them who they really are. That's why when you go silent on them, truly silent, it's not just your absence that scares them. It's the mirror you hold up without even trying. It's the truth they can't outrun anymore. All the lies they told themselves about you, all the fake reasons they used to justify treating you like trash. Silence shoves those lies down their throats, and it chokes them slowly, silently. Because now, without you feeding them energy, without you validating their circus, they're stuck alone with the one person they can never escape. Themselves. You think your kindness was your weakness? No, your real weakness was trying to convince snakes that you weren't a threat. Trying to heal people who bled on you and blamed you for their wounds. Trying to be loud enough, bright enough, loving enough for people who decided they'd rather go blind than look at you properly. They chose their ignorance. They chose their betrayal. And now you choose your silence, not to punish, not to prove anything, but to protect your soul from being dragged into battles that ain't worth a single drop of your blood anymore. Protect your heart from explaining itself to deaf ears. Protect your peace, your last piece of sanity, from being torn apart by people too selfish to even notice the damage they cause. Silence isn't a weakness, it's a damn sword. The sharpest weapon you own, because silence cuts deeper than any words you could ever scream. You want to know the secret? They start to miss you when you stop trying, when you stop posting, when you stop checking in, when you stop caring so damn much, when you let go. That's when the phone rings. That's when the fake apologies crawl back. That's when the sudden regrets pop up. But you ain't stupid anymore. You're not answering calls made out of guilt. You're not falling for apologies born from the silence, not the realization. Understand this. If they didn't see your value when you were bleeding out trying to love them, they sure as hell don't deserve to stand beside you when you've rebuilt yourself in silence. Let them drown in the distance they dug with their own hands. Let them rot, wondering why you never look back. They made their choices. You're making yours, and yours is simple. Silence, peace, evolution. You don't owe explanations to traitors. You don't owe closure to cowards. You don't owe access to people who treated you like a convenience store. Open whenever they felt like it. Closed whenever they found something better. Screw that. Your silence is your dignity. Your silence is you choosing yourself for once. Choosing your mental health over old memories. Choosing your future over dead weight. Choosing your self-respect over cheap validation. And trust me, there ain't no sweeter revenge in this life than leveling up so hard in silence that the same people who thought they broke You have to watch you from a distance, choking on every success you build without them. They'll hate it. They'll call you cold. They'll say you changed. Damn right you did. You changed because they gave you no choice. Growth ain't loud. Healing ain't public. Real success, it's silent. It's lonely. And it's deadly to the ones who try to bury you. You know why you gotta stay silent now? Because when you speak, you give them a way back in. When you explain, you open doors they have no business walking through anymore. When you argue, you give them your energy, the very thing they couldn't deserve even if they begged. Silence isn't you losing. It's you winning in a way they can't touch, can't mock, can't twist. Silence means you finally realize that you ain't here to save people who handed you the knife and told you it was your fault for bleeding. You ain't here to convince anyone of your worth. You were gold the whole damn time. They were just too blind to see it. Their loss, not yours. And now you move like a damn shadow. Silent, strong, watching everything, reacting to nothing, letting karma do the talking while you do the building. So sit in your silence. Own it. Let it wash over you, even when it feels unbearable. Let it sharpen you. Let it rebuild you. Become so rooted in your own peace that not even the loudest betrayals can pull you back into the storm. Walk away without a word. Leave them guessing. Leave them doubting everything they thought they knew about you. That's your power. That's your vengeance. No warnings. No explosions. Just silence. Cold, brutal, and permanent. You ever wonder why the quiet ones are the ones everyone's scared of? It's because silence ain't empty. It's loaded. It's packed with everything you didn't say. Every betrayal you swallowed. Every wound you stitched shut yourself. Every scream you muted just to keep your dignity intact. And people feel that weight even if they don't admit it. They sense it. That dangerous stillness. That unreadable calm. That vibe that says, I've been through hell and I didn't break, I adapted. And that terrifies them because people only know how to play games when they know your next move. But when you go silent, when you move in the dark with no announcements, no rants, no goodbyes, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable means untouchable. They can't manipulate what they can't understand. They can't fight what they can't see coming. Silence makes you a ghost with a grudge, a storm with no warning signs. It's the final, brutal middle finger to every hand that ever fed you poison and called it love. Look at yourself. Look at everything you survived. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every time you stayed loyal to people who treated you like background noise. You kept giving, kept hoping, kept bleeding, thinking someday they'd see. But the truth is, some people don't want to see. It's easier for them to use you if they pretend you're nothing special. So they lied, they cheated, they ghosted, they gossiped, they threw dirt on your name just to cover the guilt dripping from theirs. And you thought maybe if you just explained it, maybe if you just stayed a little longer, maybe if you just forgave one more time, they'd change. But they didn't. They never planned to, because in their mind, you were always going to be the one waiting, the one apologizing, the one reaching out first, until you didn't, until you let the silence fall like a hammer, until you turned around and never looked back. That's when the panic set in. That's when the fake concern, the sudden "I miss you," the just checking on you text started rolling in. Not because they loved you, nah, because they lost control over you. And there's nothing more terrifying to manipulators than losing control over a soul they once broken with. And don't you dare second guess it. Don't you dare feel guilty for walking away without a word. You fought battles nobody saw. You cried tears nobody cared about. You bled for people who wouldn't have offered you a damn bandage. You tried. You overtried. And your silence now. It's not cruelty. It's justice. It's self-respect finally standing tall after years of being buried under your own kindness. It's a boundary carved in concrete, not chalk. Chalk gets washed away with a little rain. Concrete stays, even when the storms come. And storms will come. Oh, they will. You'll get called heartless, cold, different. You'll hear whispers that you changed. Good. Let them talk. Let them choke on their own narratives. You're not here to be understood by cowards. You're not here to be loved by the ones who loved you only when it was easy. You're here to evolve, to become the kind of person who doesn't flinch when left alone. The kind of person whose silence commands more respect than others screaming ever could. Listen to me. You want to win in this ugly world? You want to really win? Learn to love your own company so much that loneliness feels like luxury. Learn to be so content in your silence that noise becomes an inconvenience, not a necessity. Build yourself in the quiet. Sharpen your mind in the shadows. Stack your victories in secret. Let the world see only what you choose to reveal. And even then, keep the best parts hidden. The strongest warriors aren't the ones who fight loud battles. They're the ones who prepare in silence, strike once, and leave their enemies too stunned to even bleed properly. You gotta be that. Quiet, strategic, ruthless, and free. Silence is your armor now. It's your sword. It's your shield. Wear it. Wield it. Own it. Because at the end of the day, words are cheap. Promises are cheaper. And noise, all that noise, it's just a distraction from the real work. The real healing. The real building. You ain't here to beg for love. You ain't here to explain your worth. You ain't here to convince anyone to see you, choose you, or stay loyal to you. You're here to become a damn force of nature. Silent, relentless, unapologetic. Let them wander. Let them regret. Let them rot in the chaos they created. You move forward. Silencia zagrave. Dangerous as a loaded gun. And when the time comes, when the silence has done its job, and you've risen so high they can't even see you without squinting, you won't have to say a damn word. Your life will scream it for you. You want to know why silence hits harder than any scream ever could? Because when you go silent, you rob them of the show they were expecting. You kill the performance they rehearsed. They were counting on your anger. They were betting you'd come running, crying, explaining, begging for closure that they were never going to give you anyway. They needed your noise to feed their ego, to convince themselves they still mattered. But when you vanish into silence, when you don't react, don't respond, don't even acknowledge their existence, it forces them to sit alone with everything they've done. No more distractions, no more scapegoats, just their own reflection staring back at them, uglier than they ever dared admit. And it burns, because for the first time, they can't twist the story. They can't call you crazy or emotional or clingy. They can't spin it into a game where they come out the victim. You rob them of their favorite weapon, your voice. And in that deafening quiet, they're left to drown in their own guilt, their own mistakes, their own damn shame. You didn't just leave the building. You burned the whole stage down and left nothing but ashes for them to perform to. And let's be even more brutal. Silence ain't just for them. It's for you. It's the weapon you forge for yourself when you're tired of bleeding for people who wouldn't even give you a damn Band-Aid. Silence is your healing. It's where you learn that peace isn't found in fixing broken people. It's found in fixing the parts of yourself that thought you were supposed to. You sit in that silence and you face your own demons. The need for validation, the addiction to approval, the fear of abandonment. You face them all one by one and you kill them quietly, mercilessly, because you realize that your worst enemy was never the ones who left. It was the part of you that thought you needed them to stay. And when that part dies, when you bury it 6 feet under and walk away without mourning it. You become something this world fears. A person who doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't chase, doesn't break. A person who knows their own value so deeply that silence becomes their language and solitude becomes their home. People will call you heartless. Good, let them. People will say you changed. Good, you were supposed to. Growth looks a lot like betrayal to those who wanted you small, dependent, controllable. They don't hate you because you hurt them. They hate you because you survived them. They hate you because you found a way to thrive without their permission, without their validation, without their fake-ass love. Your silence screams louder than any speech ever could. I don't need you. I never did. You needed me. And now you'll have to live without. That's a death sentence for people who fed off your light and thought they could do it forever. You cut them off. Not with anger, not with revenge, not with childish games, but with pure, ruthless silence. And there's no coming back from that. No apology can rebuild the bridges you burned in the silence. No excuse can fill the gap you created by walking away without a word. Your absence becomes the echo they hear every time they try to lie to themselves that they're better off without you. And don't you dare break your silence once you choose it. Don't you dare cheapen your strength by giving explanations to people who heard you beg 1,000 times and still chose to hurt you. Don't reopen doors you had the courage to close. Don't revisit graves you already buried. Keep walking, keep building, keep growing in the dark where their noise can't touch you. Let your success be the sound they hear in the distance. Let your peace be the bullet they can't dodge. Let your silence be the ghost that haunts their empty victories. They thought you were noise. They thought you were weak. Let your silence prove you were the storm they never saw coming. You're not meant to be understood by everyone. You're not meant to be loved by everyone. Some people were only lessons. Some people were only seasons. Some people were only storms you had to survive. And now you rise. Now you go silent. Not out of hate, but out of love for yourself. Not out of bitterness, but out of strength. You're not running away from them. You're walking toward a version of yourself they're not even qualified to meet. The healed, silent, dangerous version. The version that doesn't chase. The version that doesn't explain. The version that lets silence speak all the words that words could never say. Let me tell you something that'll sting a little. They never really loved you the way you love them. You loved with loyalty. They loved with convenience. You loved with sacrifice. They loved with conditions. You showed up for them when no one else did, thinking it meant something, thinking it would earn you a permanent place in their lives. But to them, you were just another comfort zone, another easy distraction until something shinier came along. You were a home, but they were just tourists passing through, leaving fingerprints on everything they touched, but never planning to stay. And you kept opening the door, didn't you? Kept letting them back in after every storm. Kept patching up the holes they blew through your walls, kept explaining your heart like it was a crime scene. And you were the one on trial. But here's the truth you couldn't face back then. Real love doesn't need convincing. Real loyalty doesn't need speeches. Real respect doesn't need reminders. If they couldn't see your worth when you were bleeding loyalty, they damn sure don't deserve to see your silence now. They forfeited the right to your words the moment they treated your love like it was disposable. And now you treat your silence like a throne. They'll never be worthy to approach again. You think they don't notice? Oh, they notice. They notice when the calls stop, when the texts dry up, when the late night rants. They used to dump on you, don't get a reply. They notice when you don't show up for the drama they secretly hoped would drag you back. They notice the absence of your patience, your forgiveness, your endless second chances. They might not say it out loud. Pride is a funny thing, but deep down they feel the loss, and it eats at them because they realize too late that you were the anchor keeping their chaos from swallowing them whole. You were the one thing they thought would always be there, no matter how many times they kicked it aside. And now they're drifting, spinning out, reaching for a hand that isn't there anymore. And the silence? Oh, the silence laughs in their face every time they try to pretend they're better off without you. That's the beauty of it. Silence. Don't lie. It exposes everything they try to hide, even from themselves. And you're going to be tempted. Trust me, you're going to have nights where the silence feels like a damn prison, where the loneliness gnaws at your ribs like a hungry wolf, where the memories sneak back in, whispering, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't that bad. That's the trap. That's the test. Because silence ain't easy. Growth ain't comfortable. Healing feels like hell before it feels like peace. But you hold the line. You stay silent. You let the discomfort carve new strength into your bones. You let the loneliness teach you that you are enough. Without the fake friends, the half-lovers, the conditional families. You are enough, exactly as you are, even if nobody claps for you, even if nobody calls. That's when you become unstoppable, when you realize your power doesn't come from being wanted. It comes from being whole, alone, silent, unbreakable. The weak chase closure, the strong create distance. You don't need to explain to anyone why you left. You don't owe anybody a chapter in the book you're writing now. Some people are just footnotes, and that's all they'll ever be. Let them wonder. Let them invent whatever version of the story helps them sleep at night. Your silence is not your weakness. It's your final word. Your silence says everything they refused to hear when you were screaming for them to just care. And that, my friend, that is the most devastating thing you could ever do to someone who took your presence for granted. Take it away permanently and say nothing. You're building now quietly, patiently, ruthlessly. While they're still playing checkers, you're playing chess. While they're still trying to figure out why you changed, you're changing even more. Becoming someone they wouldn't even recognize if they passed you on the street. You're stacking your wins in silence. You're sharpening your mind in the shadows. You're sculpting a life so solid, so sacred, that not even the memory of betrayal can touch it. And when you finally step back into the light, if you ever choose to, you'll do it without resentment, without anger, without the need to prove a damn thing to anyone. You'll do it because you owe it to yourself, not to be seen, not to be celebrated, but simply because you survived. You outgrew them. You outgrew the noise. You outgrew the version of yourself that needed to be understood by people too small to understand greatness. And that's the real lesson here. Silence isn't about shutting them out. It's about tuning yourself in. It's about hearing the voice you drowned out while you were too busy trying to be enough for everyone else. It's about meeting yourself again, the real you, the one who doesn't settle, doesn't beg, doesn't break just because it gets lonely, the one who stands alone, silent as a mountain, unshaken by storms that used to tear him apart. That's who you are now. That's who you were always meant to be. And they can sit in the ruins of what they destroyed, wondering why the one person who would have never given up on them chose silence over staying. Let them wonder. Let them rot. You've got an empire to build in silence. You know what's funny? After a while, the silence stops being heavy. At first it feels like a weight, like you're dragging your own coffin through days that don't even feel real. Every moment echoes with the ghosts of the people you thought would be with you forever. Every breath reminds you of a laugh that won't ever come back. Every empty phone screen feels like proof that maybe you were never enough to begin with. But then something changes somewhere in the middle of all that darkness. Something inside you snaps, or maybe it heals, and you realize they weren't your light, they were your shadow. They were the anchors tied to your ankles. The knives pressed to your back. The silent doubts that whispered you weren't enough. And now that they're gone, now that you've closed every door, swallowed every word, buried every memory, you start to rise. Quiet, slowly. At first it feels unnatural, like learning to breathe underwater. But eventually you realize you ain't drowning anymore. You're flying, and the silence that once felt like a curse, it becomes your sanctuary. It becomes your throne. Understand this. Broken people don't just break you because they're careless. They break you because deep down they envy you. They see something in you they can't find in themselves. Loyalty they can't fake. Love they can't earn. Light they can't dim. And instead of rising to meet you, they try to drag you down to their level. That's why they treated you like an afterthought. That's why they lied. That's why they betrayed. Because if they could convince themselves you were just another weak fool, then they wouldn't have to face the truth that you were better than them. Not because you had more, but because you loved harder, fought harder, stayed longer. You had a heart they could never understand, let alone deserve. And when you finally fell silent, when you stopped explaining yourself, stopped fighting for crumbs of affection, you shattered the illusion they built. You forced them to see themselves naked, cowardly, selfish, hollow. That's why they hate your silence so much. It's not because you're gone. It's because without your light, they have to face the darkness they spent their whole lives running from. And you have to keep walking, keep building. Don't look back. Don't reread the old messages. Don't listen to the songs you shared. Don't romanticize the moments that almost made it worth it. Almost doesn't count anymore. Almost broke you. Almost made you believe you were unworthy screw. Almost screw potential screw promises made by people who didn't even mean them when they said them. You deserve real. You deserve heavy-rooted, soul, deep loyalty, not fair-weather affection that crumbles when it's inconvenient. And you'll find it, but only if you stay silent long enough to hear it coming. Only if you stay strong enough to reject a familiar pain for the terrifying freedom of something better. Only if you trust that your silence isn't killing you. It's preparing you. Preparing you for the kind of life where you don't have to beg for respect. Preparing you for the kind of love that doesn't leave you guessing. Preparing you for the kind of peace that doesn't apologize for existing. And when the day comes, and it will come, when they try to crawl back, when they reach out with trembling hands and fake regrets and late apologies, I want you to remember something. They didn't lose you. When they broke your heart, they lost you. When they made you feel like breaking, it was even an option. They lost you when they looked at your loyalty, your effort, your soul, and chose to spit on it. They lost you the moment they forced you into silence. Because once a loyal soul goes silent, once a real heart closes its doors, once a fighter decides the war ain't worth it anymore, that's it. There ain't no coming back from that. No text, no tears, no desperate confession can resurrect what they buried. They made their bed. Let them lie in it cold alone, haunted by the silence they thought would never come. And you keep moving quietly, ruthlessly. You keep growing, you keep healing, you keep stacking your life like bricks, one silent victory at a time. You don't announce it. You don't post it. You don't rub it in their faces. You just live so damn well that your existence becomes a slap they have to feel every time they open their eyes. That's real revenge. That's real closure. Not a fight, not a final conversation, just success, just peace, just the simple, brutal fact that they don't have access to you anymore, that they lost the right to hear your voice, see your face, feel your presence. Silence is the bullet. Your new life is the trigger. pull it without mercy. Never look back. Thanks for watching. If you really think it's good, so please subscribe me.